In this video, we're going to build this wrapping 3D carousel effect using Apple Motion for Final Cut Pro. After Final Cut Pro 12.3 released, it fixed some major issues we were having with 3D layers directly in Final Cut Pro, and now those have all been fixed. So the best part is, if you are a Patreon member, you can download the finished project and use it directly in Final Cut Pro right now. Go ahead and open up Apple Motion, and from here we're going to select the Final Cut title. In the top right corner, I recommend working on a 4K project. While it's not absolutely necessary, it does make following the steps in this video a little bit simpler. Next, under your frame rate, I recommend you set this to whatever you typically like to work with in Final Cut Pro. And lastly, I recommend a duration of 10 seconds. After that, we can go ahead and press open. The first thing we need to do is delete the type text here and title background layers. Next, we need to go up to Add Object and select Drop Zone, which can also be achieved with Command-Shift-D. We need to cut this drop zone out. So let's go ahead and create a rectangle, and it can be any size. Then we'll go over to the inspector, and under Properties, we're going to right-click on the position and select Reset Parameter. After that, go to the shape settings, and under the geometry pane, we can see that we have this size option. Remember, I set up a 4K project, so we're going to set this to a value of 2160. That is the height of our project. It's a 3840 by 2160 project. If you're working on a 1080p project, then set that value to 1080p. Let's drag up the roundness all the way to 50. Let's rename this rectangle to be the mask layer, and we'll push Command left bracket to drop it underneath the drop zone. After that, we're going to select the mask and push Command D to duplicate it, and we can call this the outline layer. From that point, just simply click and drag your mask directly on top of the drop zone layer. You should now have a cut out drop zone just like this. From there, we're going to select the outline layer and head on over to the style settings. Disable the fill on that outline and enable the outline option down here. Then you can set this width to whatever you like. I'm going to set it to a value of 10. And if you're feeling really zany, you can go ahead and change the color on this too. From that point, we now have a basic object which has an outline and a drop zone, and it's all cut out. So let's select that primary group. We'll go to Properties, and let's just shrink it down 50%. Next, we want to go ahead and rename this to be Drop Zone 1. By the end of this video, we're actually going to have 8 of these drop zones, so it's going to be really important that we label each one. But before we duplicate and create those other drop zones, we need to do a bit of preparation. Otherwise, we're going to have to redo these steps 8 more times. So if we can prep everything up front, it's going to make our lives a lot easier. The first set of preparation is to create a motion path. Let's collapse our drop zone. We'll right click and create a new group, and this group will be called the path group. Before we add in our path, let's go up to Add Object and add in a 3D camera. It's going to ask if we want to switch everything to 3D. Go ahead and do that. Now that we have this camera, we can come down here, click this down arrow, and select the circle tool. Go ahead and select your path group, and making sure that that circle tool is selected, create a basic circle. This circle can be any shape and size, it doesn't matter. We're going to fix that in just a moment. With that circle selected, we'll head over to Properties and right click and reset the position so it's right in the middle. Next, we'll go to the shape settings, and under geometry, we're going to change this value to 2160. That should barely fill out the frame just as it is here. And again, I'm working on a 4K project. That is where I'm getting that 2160 number. If you're working on a 1080p project, just set that to a value of 1080. Now that we have this circle in place, head on over to your properties and we'll find the rotation panel. You might need to expand out the rotation here, and let's just set this to a value of 90. That is going to flatten out our circle, which is going to be great for our motion path. Next, I'm going to select the drop zone that we have here, and we're going to add in the parameters that let it follow this path. With that drop zone selected, go up to Behaviors, Basic Motion, and we're going to select Motion Path. Then we're going to come over here and change the path shape from Open Spline over to Geometry. And then after that, we'll just simply drag in our circle. You should see it immediately trying to follow the path. That's great. And if you drag this offset, you can see it animating around in circles. One thing you'll want to do is change this loop's value. Right now, it's automatically animating around the path. And while that can be helpful, what we're going to do is set it up so we can change these animation values over inside of Final Cut Pro. So I recommend you instead drag this loops value down to 0. One last point of setup is to make it so that these cards always face towards the middle. Right now, it's always going to face towards the camera, which might be a cool effect that you want. And if you do want that, you don't have to follow these next steps. But if you want these cards to always kind of wrap and point towards the center, it's super easy. Let's select that circle that we initially created, and we'll just rename this actually to be path. Then I'm going to push Command D to duplicate it, and we'll just call this the point. From there, let's go to the properties and right-click on the rotation and reset that parameter. Next, I'm just going to scale it down to 1%. So it's just a super tiny circle. You can barely see it. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to change the color on it to be red, but it does not matter at all. Now that we have this point, we can select that drop zone one more time, go up to behaviors, go to basic motion, and then select point at. What do we want it to point at? Well, we want it to point at this circle. It looks like nothing has changed, and that is because the transition time is set to 50%. That means it's going to take 50% of our project's time before it finally faces that circle. If you just drag this transition time all the way to 0, now it will always be facing towards that center circle. So here's what's really cool. If we select our motion path and drag up the offset, you'll notice that this drop zone is constantly pointing towards the middle, which I absolutely love. You will notice a problem though, and that is that once the card gets onto this side, it's actually covering up our entire scene. So we need to adjust our camera's position. Let's select our camera, then we'll go up to the active camera tab and change it to the top view. From here, we can actually see the position of our camera. You'll notice it's actually way down here, even though our frame is up here towards the center. If I go ahead and hide that circle path, we can see it's way up here. So first, let's change our camera type. Right now it's framing, which means our pivot point is right here. You'll see the anchor point at that level. If we change this over to viewpoint, we have changed our pivot point, which makes it just a little bit easier to manage. It's really not that important of a change, but it's just something that's helpful to know down the road. I'm going to re-enable our path, and then we're just going to simply click and drag our camera to be up within that circle path. And if you take a look in the bottom right, you can see we're actually passing that drop zone. Next, we can make an adjustment here to our angle of view, and we can stretch it back so it fits the entire curve of the circle here. From that point, let's change the top view back over to active camera. Now, we're not going to see a whole lot here, but if we take our motion path and adjust our offset, you'll notice it is now wrapping this around our scene, which is really, really cool. And by changing our camera's angle of view, you'll notice how that's actually warping our drop zone on the side. It makes it look more rounded. So you can definitely play around with that setting and get it to a point where you're really happy. Now that we have created this drop zone and we have a point at behavior, we can go ahead and adjust the offset to be 0%. This is just going to be our starting point. From there, we're going to collapse our drop zone, and we need to duplicate this 7 more times. So I'm going to select it and push Command D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at us, we can count. I think I just turned this into Sesame Street. It can get a little bit confusing because you'll see we have drop zone 1 and then drop zone 1 copy and then drop zone 1 copy 1. It only says 6 up here at the top, but we do in fact have a total of 8 drop zones. So let's just rename each of these. And so now we have officially 8 drop zones and they're all correctly labeled. From that point, I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to push Option right arrow, and that's going to quickly expand them so that we can see the motion path on each of these layers. There's a lot here, so in fact, we might even make this easier. Let's just use the search tool and look up motion path, and now we can see each and every one of them. So if we take a look here in the motion path, we have the offset at 0%. A full circle is going to be 100%, and so we need to divide 100 by 8, which is the number of objects we have here, and that gives us a value of 12.5. So we need to offset each one of these objects by 12.5. We have our first one starting at 0%. We'll select the next motion path and just type in 12.5. Next, we'll go to 25%, and then 37.5%, and then a total of 50%, then 62.5%, and then 75%. And lastly, it needs to be 87.5. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and clear the search here in our search panel. And And I'm going to select everything with Command A and push Option and left arrow, and that should collapse everything down. Let's go ahead and pop open our path group. And if we find our path, we can go to Properties. And now I can adjust the rotation on the Z axis. And you'll see that we're getting this really awesome carousel effect. And what's also really cool is we can adjust the scale on this to bring these closer or further. But you'll notice that we're still running into that camera problem we had earlier. So here's what we're going to do to fix that. Let's scale this down. Then we'll select our camera. We'll go into the camera pane and we can adjust the near and far planes. So I'm going to just drag up the near plane until that first one that's closest to the camera fades out. And so now you can clearly see all of the others while not rendering that closest one. So going back to our path, under our properties, we'll just adjust the scale until we get these as close or as far as we want them apart. Now this is looking really cool, but I want to take it to the next level by adding in some background gradients as well as an awesome reflection. To do that, let's head on over to our library. We'll go to Generators and we'll locate the gradient generator. I'll add this in. And let's select that group and push Command Shift left bracket, and that is going to bring it all the way down in the layer stack. Right now it is a 3D layer, so you'll actually notice that our cards are getting cut off. We don't need it to be 3D, so we can disable that by clicking this checkbox here. And now we know for a fact that this gradient is always going to be consistent. There is a weird bug sometimes in Final Cut where if a gradient is lined up right with the edge, it actually removes a pixel. So let's go to the inspector, go to Properties, and we'll just increase the scale to 101%, and that tends to fix that problem. Next, we'll select our gradient and then go to the Adjust Item tool. And now we can expand out this gradient to really soften it up. Not a huge fan of the default gradient there. Then we'll go to the generator settings and we can change the color of this gradient. I'm going to set the bottom side to be kind of a dark blue gray. And we can set this light one. Maybe we'll just go very light blue. And you can make it darker or lighter, completely up to your own taste. So now we have this nice background gradient, but let's also add in a reflection. I'm first going to rename this to be the background group. Then we can go up to our library. We'll go and find a color solid, and I'm going to drag this in as a separate layer with its own group, and we'll just call this the reflection group. Next, we can call this the reflector. We'll go to the inspector, and we'll change the color on this to be black. Then we'll go to the properties, and we want to rotate it on the x-axis to 90 degrees so it's completely flat. After that, we can click and drag on the y value to bring it down below all of the drop zones. And then we can scale it up so it completely fills the frame. That's looking pretty good to me. Then coming down here to the reflection panel, let's enable reflections. Then we can press show and we can adjust the blur amount on it to a level we're happy and the reflectivity. I also found that I really like enabling this fall off option. I just find that looks really good. And you can change the fall off levels using these settings here. Lastly, we want to go into the blend mode of this reflector and change it over to screen. We set that reflector to be black, so by changing it to screen, that means it's going to become invisible and blend in with that gradient we have. And so now we have this gorgeous reflection down here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and adjust our path with its rotation, and we can get a great idea of how this carousel is looking. And we can actually disable the visibility on that path so that we're not accidentally rendering any sort of red circles. I might bring these in just a little bit closer to each other, and I am loving that. If you want this to have a consistent animation without adding in any keyframes, you can always select your path, come into the rotation panel under the Z, and we'll add in a parameter of rate. Now, let's set this to a value of 36. Because this is a 10-second project, it's going to add 36 degrees every single second. And so after 10 seconds, it should do a complete loop. So this will be a seamless rotation all the way around. It's a little hard to tell because it's trying to render out and it's having a tough time, but you should get a good idea of what this animation is capable of. If you're feeling extra cool though, you can always select your path and add in additional keyframes. So if there's a specific part of your carousel you want to draw attention to, let's just add a keyframe and we can extra rotate this around to a specific card. Some other really quick housekeeping items you should be aware of with this particular template. For one, you can go in and publish all of these different settings. So maybe you want further control over the Z-axis. Well, you can click this down arrow and select publish on that. You could also go to the rate parameter. So if you want people to have control over how fast it's spinning, you could publish that as well. And then lastly, you can come up here to the project under the project panel, and you'll see that we only have one drop zone available, which is kind of annoying. You're going to need to go into each of these drop zones, and I'll just get that by searching up drop zone here. And you can see we have each of these available to us. So now we can go in and publish each one of these individually. And you are going to want to figure out what order you want each of these cards, starting from top to bottom. It's totally up to you, but this is just going to make your life a lot easier over in Final Cut Pro land. So now if we go to our project panel, you should see our first drop zone up here at the top, and we can just drag that down below. And so now we have access to each of these different drop zones, as well as the rotation panel and how fast we want this to rotate. So that is how you can create this really cool looking 3D carousel effect using Apple Motion. Don't forget, as a Patreon member, you can download the finished project right now and use it directly inside of Final Cut Pro as long as you have version 12.3 or newer. I've also gone ahead and updated the previous 3D carousel we created on the channel, so you can use that one as well as a Patreon member. So make sure you go and download the latest version. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me for this video. If it was helpful, consider pressing the like button and consider subscribing for more Apple Motion content. With that being said, I cannot wait to see you in the next one.